Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, Saka here, and big news in the Dungeons & Dragons community. A few days ago, the DM to end all DMs, Matt Mercer, released in cooperation with the Wizards of the Coast team his own campaign setting from the Critical Role web series, The Explorer's Guide to Wildemount, and we are going to talk about all the things that we know so far. First of all, it takes place in Wildemount, which Critical Role fans would know, and it is indeed written by Matt Mercer, which is important because when you have a creator of a setting not participating in that setting, you get a whole Disney Star Wars thing where George Lucas isn't involved in the story writing anymore, and it just feels different. It feels weird. It feels like imposter syndrome. It just feels off. So it's a very good thing that Wizards of the Coast collaborated with Mr. Mercer to get this book out. It looks to be set during the time of war between the Dwendalian Empire and Xhorhas, so, fans of the series will know the setting quite intimately, and brand new players coming in will have some juicy intrigue that a skilled dungeon master can weave into their own homebrew stories set in this campaign setting. Of course, any new expansion would not be complete without its own brand new things for players to engage in and build, and for DMs to play with, things like spells, magic items, monsters, and subclasses. So it's all D&D 5e compatible. Tested by Wizards of the Coast, and even Jeremy Crawford tweeted out that it was extensively play tested. The creatures and classes were played in D&D 5e traditional setting and fit right in, was an OP, was balanced nicely. Input from the community was very important, so it looks like you can pluck one of these characters from the Wildemount series, put them in D&D, or vice versa. You could take your own campaign setting, have a portal, transport you into Wildemount, and pick up right where you left off with minimal fluff or nutter from the DM, which is pretty cool. There's a brand new magic school introduced that the people of Xhorhas experimented with called Dunamancy, which kind of sounds like what Paul Atreides did when he becomes the Kwisatz Haderach, but unlike Dune, it deals with fate, the infinite possibility, seeing the future, seeing the golden path. So it is kind of like Paul Atreides becoming the Kwisatz Haderach. So a really cool school of magic if you like dealing with fate, the future, things that what might be, and changing the outcomes of what could be. This is the magic school for you. Mr. Mercer also mentioned that there was a brand new character build chart included in the book. So if you weren't familiar with the backstory of the Wildemount, you could roll dice and get a backstory that fits right in this ongoing war on the continent and feel right in. You get some exposition to better understand where your character fits into the grand scheme of things, which is great for getting into your role and playing your character to the fullest in this new setting. I'll be interested to see exactly what options are available on these charts and what exact possibilities there are. The min-maxers will have a field day going through these charts, seeing what good bonuses there are, what race might fit these new classes or new magic schools. It'll be quite interesting indeed. On the actual D&D website for the book, it lists several features that are included in the book, the first being the Wildemount Gazetteer. Descriptions of the major factions in Wildemount. In particular, I would imagine Xhorhas and the Dwendalian Empire, so you understand what the war is about, who is fighting, where they're fighting, a campaign strategy. For real-time strategy fans like myself, it'll be cool to unfurl the map, look at where units are, and imagine sort of a total war campaign in which the players are fitting in, much like Critical Role, or you could even do some large-scale combat as well. Integrate large unit tactics onto the battle map and fight your own war between the Dwendalian Empire and Xhorhas. It says that the new subclasses, spells, and items will help integrate your character into the world, so it feels like your character has lived there for a bit, studied on this continent, lived a life on this continent, instead of feeling like you've plucked them from a D&D campaign and plopped them right in the middle with no knowledge of this place, having completely, unorthodox and unfamiliar items with you. The items included in this book will help your character feel right at home. New magic items that grow with your character, which is an interesting thought. In the base D&D Dungeon Master's Guide, you have a list of your magic items, and they don't seem to scale They are just sort of there based on their rarity. Of course, you want to give your legendary items to your legendary party, give common magic items to a low-level party. It seems like once you find an item in Wildemount, it will grow to match you, which is an interesting take, and I'll be interested to see how those scale as the players grow. Of course, new creatures to the Wildemount, like the Moor Bounder. I'm going to be interested to take a look through sort of those creature stat blocks and see how they compare to the base D&D creatures. Maybe if the appeal is there, I can run them through Tabletop Simulator heads up and fight creature versus creature and see if they are indeed balanced. And to help players grow, there are 4 included mini campaigns in this setting as well. Mr. Mercer wants people to who are unfamiliar with the setting to grow to understand the campaign a little bit better and the setting, so that once they reach level 10 to 15, they really have a strong grasp. It feels like they've been there their entire lives, and they can really start cracking skulls as their characters grow. Very cool. The book is 304 pages and retails for $49.95 US. And you can get it from most major retailers, including Amazon. Right after the announcement, it was #1 on Amazon book sales, which is to be expected. And Mr. Mercer even came out and said, you know, now that we've done our business on Amazon, if you still haven't got the book, please go to your local game store and pick it up from there. Which, I mean, with D&D Beyond being kind of a sponsor, you know, it's like Chase Elliott saying, yeah, find Napa parts, but don't go to a Napa parts store. Get it from your cousin Billy Bob down the street. They're just as good. I kid, but, you know, good on Mr. Mercer for reaching out and making sure that the local bookstores are included in this, as this is going to be a big release and a massive seller, as it already has been. And I'm sure it can really help out the local game shops to stock these, sell these to the local D&D community. The website assures you that you don't have to know Wildemount in and out. You don't have to know Critical Role inside and out and be a diehard fan to be able to pick up and play the book. It's built for players who are both familiar with the setting and unfamiliar with the setting, so very approachable. So if you do play D&D but have never watched or got involved in Critical Role, you can pick this book up and not feel lost. But there's a good chance that if you do play Dungeons & Dragons, you have seen Critical Role and you are at least have a passing familiarity with what's going on. And with this book, I think you could go back and watch Critical Role again with these notes in hand and get a better understanding of what was going on through Mr. Mercer's head as he was constructing this, or perhaps even some changes that he made in the balancing process. Compare stat blocks with creatures that were fought in the series compared to what they were published as, to see, you know, how epic was that battle supposed to be? Or, you know, was it too easy? Was it too hard? Was it nerfed? Was it buffed? You know, from a game building standpoint, it's cool to see behind the curtain, and that's what I will be more focused on as I read through the book, seeing exactly how the game was built. Of course, the big release day is the 17th of March 2020, so just a little over 2 months away from release. Very, very excited for it. It'll be a day one purchase for me. I'm going to order it as soon as I get off here. But once I do have book in hand, hopefully there are some modders out in the Tabletop Simulator community that can take the spell cards, maybe even the minis and the creatures, get them a downloadable for Tabletop Simulator so I can go in with the 5e tabletop and compare them to the Critical Role in video format for you, so you can get a feel of what exactly is included in the book. So look forward to that coming in the next few months. So that will do it for me and this episode of Saka Speaks On, ladies and gentlemen. I was just wanting to bring this to your attention in a little bit more detail, so that if you follow me for D&D content, you are aware of what is going on and what to expect. And if you are a fan of D&D, definitely stay tuned and feel free to subscribe for future D&D content in the future. But that will do it for me. Like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next Saka Speaks On video. Take care.